Italy is the pearl of the Mediterranean. Its beaches are wonderful and popular. The country has a history that dates back to the ancient times. And there is no one in the world who has never heard of the amazing Italian cuisine. Full of fresh, sun-ripened fruits and vegetables, fresh spices, juicy meats, and don't forget the delicious Italian cheeses and pasta dishes. Not only does the country attract lovers of culture, but it also offers an unforgettable experience for fans of gastronomy. Let's take a look at 10 foods you have to try while traveling in Italy. Bruschetta. Bruschetta is one of the most popular appetizers in Italy. Its greatness lies in its simplicity, as it is practically a slice of toast. The most important thing when making bruschetta is the quality of the bread. Success depends on making it using homemade, excellent quality bread. In Italy, the bread is cut into medium thick slices, toasted with garlic and good quality, usually extra virgin olive oil. The toppings are usually placed raw on the toasted bread slices as a crown. And the toppings can only be limited by the imagination. Tomato or mushroom sauce, fish or ham slices, pesto, olives, fresh spices like basil or sage leaves, succulent Italian cheese, a little mozzarella or parmesan. Insalata Caprese. Caprese salad, as its name suggests, is from the island of Capri. It's absolutely reminiscent of sunny Italy in its colors and flavors. It consists of a sweet triad of basil, tomato and mozzarella, often sprinkled with a few drops of balsamic vinegar. The secret of this dish is that tomatoes need to be really sweet, ripe and juicy. There can be no compromise in this. The world-famous Italian cheese, the juicy buffalo mozzarella, cut into thick slices, perfectly complements the tomato with its discreet taste, and the whole dish is crowned with chunky basil leaves. This is how food will be truly Italian in both taste and color. Insalata Caprese is not served as a side dish, but on its own as an appetizer. It absolutely stays in place and perfectly prepares the stomach for the arrival of the next dishes. Minestrone. Minestrone is the world-famous vegetable soup of the Italian nation. It contains no meat at all, but even the biggest carnivores can easily forget about it, because it has a really complex flavor. Countless versions are made of it. Almost every family has its own variety for the perfect minestrone soup. What is common to them, usually legumes and root vegetables, are added in large numbers, supplemented with a little tomato puree, and from this point, everyone makes their own version of minestrone. In Rome and the surrounding area, quite often, minestrone soup contains some kind of pasta, while in other parts of the country, this is unimaginable. The same is true of sliced tomatoes and pesto. They are common in minestrone in some areas and completely omitted in others. Minestrone soup is cooked over a low heat for a long time, so that the taste of the vegetables completely melts together and the result will be more than perfect. Bistecca alla Fiorentina. When we think of Italy, it's not the consumption of steak that comes to our mind for the first time, although it would be a sin to miss bistecca alla Fiorentina, also known as Florentine steak. This large veal T-bone slice weighs usually at least 450 grams per slice. But it's not uncommon to serve a slice weighing 1 kilogram. In the last minutes of the cooking process, the meat slices are cooked standing on the bone. It is important that the slices should be thick enough so the meat will stand on its feet. It can be placed on your table as a rare or medium steak. The perfect Florentine steak is really crispy on the outside, but soft, juicy and bright red on the inside. In Italy, if you order meat dishes, the focus is really on meat. They don't eat hearty garnishes, usually just something light like a small amount of salad. Bistecca alla Fiorentina is usually served with cannellini beans, flavored with a little olive oil. Simple but great. And of course, a glass of wine is a must. Ossobuco Milanese. Ossobuco first appeared under this name in the 19th century around Milan. it used to be the food of the poor. A large piece of veal shank cooked together with root vegetables in a thick, creamy sauce. It was quick and very easy to prepare, cheap and very hearty. In the middle of the pieces of meat is the bone that contains the marrow, which is a real delicacy. The meaning of ossobuco is bone with a hole, which suggests that during preparation, the biggest part of the marrow usually flows out of the bone and mixes with the sauce, while the bone with a hole remains in the middle of the veal shank. The traditional ossobuco is made by adding white wine and chicken broth. The modern version contains tomatoes, which makes the sauce denser. It is usually served with heavenly Italian risotto or polenta, which is a thickly cooked corn porridge, and a very pleasant garnish next to such a hearty meat. In addition, they are often served with gremolate, which is a mixture of chopped parsley, garlic and lemon juice with a very intense and refreshing taste. Pizza. Pizza is the national dish of Italy. There is no one who has never heard of it. Its history dates back to antiquity. At a time, the so-called flatbread was baked on a hot stone, smeared with honey and sprinkled with flavorful fresh spices, usually rosemary and basil. As tomato reached Italy after the discovery of America, the history of the modern pizza began. The world's first pizzeria opened in Naples and still exists. The basis of the pizza is the yeast-made pizza dough, which is made really paper-thin in Italy. Traditionally, pizza dough is covered with tomato puree. Then you don't need anything else than mozzarella and basil. This variety is called pizza margherita, the simplest and most famous pizza in Italy. And the pizza toppings can really only be limited by imagination. Instead of the tomato base, it can be a sour cream, cheese or honey mustard base. This is followed by various meats, hams, vegetables, olives or even boiled egg slices. And what crowns the pizza is, of course, the fresh basil and the excellent Italian cheese, mozzarella and parmesan. Pasta. We tend to think that the homeland of the different pastas is Italy, even though this is not the case. Archaeological excavations prove that people in China and several other countries of the world consumed pasta earlier than people in Italy. However, what the Italian nation can do with pasta is a completely different question. And in addition to pizza, pasta is what makes Italian cuisine world famous. Centuries ago, dry pasta made from wheat was especially popular among merchants because it was long-lasting and could be taken on long sea voyages. Italian pasta dishes set out on a world-conquering journey when people began consuming them with sauces made from tomatoes. Classic spaghetti bolognese is familiar to everyone. Al dente spaghetti pasta with a rich ragu alla bolognese sprinkled with grated hard cheese, usually parmesan. Equally popular is lasagna, which is created by layering flat pasta, ragu alla bolognese and creamy bechamel sauce and baked in the oven. Italian people also make excellent quality filled pastas. Think of tortellini and ravioli. These pastas can be filled with anything. The most popular are variations with meat, fish, cheese, mushrooms or spinach ricotta filling. They are so delicious on their own, they only need a small amount of creamy sauce, some cheese on top, and they are ready to be eaten. Gnocchi di patate is just as popular and delicious as the former ones. The flour is mixed with soft-boiled, crushed potatoes and shaped into typical gnocchi shape, then cooked in salty hot water and usually served with only a little hot butter and sage leaves. These pasta dishes are so popular around the world that the 25th day of October has been designated to World Pasta Day. Arancini. These stuffed rice balls are very popular street foods in Italy. Arancini was originally consumed on the island of Sicily, but can already be found in other parts of the country. Many local versions exist, all of which have in common that they put some stuffing into the cooked rice, shape it into bowls, then cover it with breadcrumbs and fry them in hot oil. It is made with a wide variety of fillings, including ragu, fish, cheese, ham, vegetables such as eggplant or mushrooms. Each is very juicy and really hearty. The Italians love risotto very much, and if there is any left over, they usually make perfect arancini the next day. The meaning of arancini is small orange, which refers to its shape and color. On the island of Sicily, however, they are more of a cone shape, thus resembling the symbol of the island, Mount Etna. Cannolo Siciliano. Cannolo is also from Sicily, originally a festive cake and now one of the symbols of Sicily. Its history is more than 1,000 years old. It was first made around the 10th century. Cannolo, plural cannoli, is a sweet, crispy, oil-fried dough tube with flavored ricotta filling inside. The dough is traditionally mixed with masala wine, a Sicilian sweet dessert wine that makes the cannolo extraordinary. Ricotta filling can include cinnamon or orange peel and a pinch of sugar. Cannolo is usually decorated with candied fruit, oranges or cherries, sprinkled with the famous and excellent quality Sicilian pistachios. Nowadays, chocolate versions are also very popular. In addition to the obligatory ingredients, cocoa powder is added to their dough. The two ends of the fried little tubes are dipped in melted chocolate and then in chopped pistachios. Often a small amount of chocolate chips are added to the ricotta cream, just to make sure that it's really full of chocolate. Gelato. Gelato is not just a simple ice cream that you can taste on any corner in the world. Gelato is a real Italian speciality. Compared to the usual ice cream, gelato contains less cream. Instead, it is enriched with milk, which has a much lower fat content. Instead of 20%, the fat content of gelato is about 6 to 8%. Unlike ice cream, gelato is stirred slowly, so it contains less air and is much creamier than ice cream. Served at a slightly higher temperature than ice cream, this creamy, silky, cold sweetness instantly melts in your mouth. The number of variations is, of course, endless. It can be made from any kind of fruit, with large pieces of fruit flesh. But gelato made from spices or seeds is also common. So if you're in Italy, it's not surprising to find yourself facing basil-flavored, rosemary-flavored or pine nut-flavored gelato.